The sirens echoed through the quiet streets of Brooklyn, cutting through the stillness of the early morning hours. Detective Sophia Garrett stood on the sidewalk, the acrid smell of smoke stinging her nose as she stared at the charred remains of the Lawrence textile factory, a century-old structure reduced to skeletal beams and ash. "Another one," muttered Officer Ben Harris, a rookie assigned to assist her. Sophia nodded, her eyes scanning the scene for clues. This was the third fire in 2 weeks, each one deliberately set in the dead of night. The arsonist had left no witnesses, no fingerprints, and no clear motive. "What do we know?" Sophia asked. Ben checked his notebook. Fire started around 3 a.m. Witnesses saw a figure in dark clothing leaving the area, but no one got a good look. And Ben hesitated. The fire chief found a gas can near the point of origin. Same brand as the last 2 fires. Sophia's jaw tightened. That's deliberate. They're taunting us. Back at the precinct, Sophia pinned a map of New York City to the corkboard in the squad room. 3 red pins marked the locations of the fires: an abandoned warehouse in Queens, a vacant school in the Bronx, and now the textile factory in Brooklyn. "This isn't random," she said to her team. "Our arsonist is working their way across the city. They're targeting older buildings, ones with historical significance." "Why?" asked Detective Laura Chen, Sophia's partner. "That's what we need to find out," Sophia replied. The press had dubbed the arsonist the Inferno Phantom, a name that stuck after a reporter received an anonymous email claiming responsibility for the fires. The message was chilling in its simplicity: fire is the only true cleanser. Watch the city burn. Sophia studied the email, her mind racing. The arsonist wasn't just setting fires, they were sending a message. "This isn't about destruction," she said. "It's about control. They're using fire as a weapon to make a statement." A week later, the Phantom struck again, this time setting fire to an occupied apartment complex in Harlem. The blaze tore through the building, displacing dozens of families and injuring several firefighters. Sophia arrived at the scene to find chaos: residents wrapped in blankets, children crying, and fire crews battling the last of the flames. "Any casualties?" she asked the fire chief. "2 in critical condition," he replied grimly. "We're lucky it wasn't worse." Sophia clenched her fists. The Phantom was escalating, and innocent lives were now in the crossfire. The Phantom's arrogance became their undoing. Surveillance footage from a nearby deli captured a figure in a black hoodie and gloves walking toward the apartment complex moments before the fire broke out. Finally, Sophia said as she and Laura reviewed the footage. "We've got something to work with." Using facial recognition software, the team identified the figure as Dylan Keating, a reclusive artist with a history of mental illness and a known fascination with fire. Tracking Dylan down wasn't difficult. He lived in a dingy apartment in the East Village, cluttered with half-finished sculptures and burnt canvases. Sophia and Laura confronted him, but Dylan denied any involvement in the fires. "You think I did this?" he scoffed. "I paint with fire, detective. I don't destroy with it." "Then why were you near the scene of the latest fire?" Sophia pressed. Dylan hesitated. "I was scouting locations for my next project. That's all." Sophia wasn't convinced. Dylan's alibi checked out, but the investigation into his background revealed a startling connection. He had once been part of a radical environmental group that advocated for cleansing the urban landscape through destruction. "They disbanded years ago," Laura said. "But maybe someone's taking their ideas a little too seriously." Sophia nodded. "If Dylan's not our guy, maybe he knows who is." Before Sophia could interrogate Dylan further, the Phantom struck again, this time targeting a fire station in Staten Island. The blaze consumed the building, injuring 2 firefighters and destroying critical equipment. "They're sending a message," Sophia said as she surveyed the scene. "No one is safe." The fire chief handed her a charred piece of paper found near the point of origin. Scrawled in ash was a single word: cleanse. The task force doubled down on their efforts, pulling long hours to comb through every lead. Dylan's connection to the environmental group led them to a list of former members, one of whom stood out: Eleanor Shaw, a chemistry professor with expertise in accelerants and a history of anti-establishment views. She matches the profile, Laura said. Smart, methodical, and angry. Let's bring her in, Sophia replied. Sophia set a trap, staging a mock press conference to announce a fundraiser for the restoration of the Lawrence textile factory. The event was designed to lure the Phantom out of hiding, with undercover officers stationed throughout the venue. As the crowd gathered, Sophia scanned the faces, her instincts on high alert. Then she saw her, Eleanor Shaw, standing near the back, her eyes fixed on the stage with an intensity that made Sophia's skin crawl. "She's here," Sophia whispered into her radio. "Move in." Detective Sophia Garrett sat across from Eleanor Shaw in the precinct's interrogation room, the hum of the overhead fluorescent light the only sound. Shaw was composed, her sharp features betraying no emotion as she stared at Sophia. "You've been on our radar for a while, Eleanor," Sophia began, sliding a file across the table. "Chemistry professor. Former member of an extremist group. And you just happened to show up at the scene of our trap last night." "I didn't realize attending a public event was a crime," Eleanor said coolly. Sophia leaned forward. "It is when we have evidence connecting you to 5 fires that have terrorized this city." Eleanor's lips curled into a faint smile. "You think you've caught the Phantom. But you don't even know what you're chasing." Despite Eleanor's deflections, the evidence against her was circumstantial. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no direct link to the fires. Forensics combed through her home and office but found only common chemicals, nothing unusual for a chemistry professor. "She's too smart to leave anything behind," Laura Chen said as they reviewed the report. Sophia frowned. "Then we need to make her slip up." The team set a trap. An undercover officer posing as a reporter approached Eleanor, offering her a platform to explain her environmental philosophy. The conversation was secretly recorded, with Sophia and her team listening in from a nearby van. Eleanor's tone was measured but passionate. "Cities are parasites," she said. "They consume everything around them. Sometimes, fire is the only way to start fresh." The undercover operation revealed more than just Eleanor's motives, it hinted at the presence of a second individual. "She mentioned we multiple times," Laura said, replaying the recording. "Someone's helping her." The task force combed through Eleanor's known associates and uncovered a troubling connection: Gregory Lyle, a former student expelled for starting a fire in a university lab. "This guy has arson written all over him," Liam Carter said, reading Gregory's file. "Let's find him," Sophia replied. A tip led the team to a derelict warehouse in the Bronx where Gregory was rumored to be living. Inside, they found a disturbing sight: shelves lined with chemicals, makeshift incendiary devices, and detailed maps of New York City marked with potential targets. "This is a bomb factory," Liam said, his voice low. Sophia's eyes scanned the maps. "They've been planning this for months. And they're not done." Among the clutter, Claire Wong found a notebook filled with formulas and chilling notes: "The fire must spread. The city must burn." The notebook outlined a devastating plan, a coordinated series of fires meant to cripple New York City's infrastructure, targeting bridges, power stations, and transportation hubs. "They're not just arsonists," Laura said. "They're domestic terrorists." Sophia's mind raced. "We need to shut this down before it starts." Gregory Lyle was arrested during a midnight raid on the warehouse, his attempts to flee thwarted by a team of tactical officers. But like Eleanor, he proved to be a difficult subject to crack. "You think locking me up changes anything?" Gregory sneered during his interrogation. "You can't stop what's already in motion." "What's already in motion?" Sophia pressed. Gregory leaned back in his chair, smirking. "You'll see soon enough." Sophia's team worked around the clock to decode Gregory's notes, but the scale of the plan was overwhelming. The maps marked dozens of potential targets, and time was running out. "We need to prioritize," Sophia said, her voice tense. "Which locations are most vulnerable?" Claire highlighted the city's main power grid. "If they take this out, the whole city goes dark." The task force raced to secure the power grid facility, arriving just as Eleanor and an accomplice were attempting to breach the perimeter. The ensuing confrontation was chaotic. Flames erupted as the accomplice threw a Molotov cocktail, setting nearby equipment ablaze. Sophia pursued Eleanor through the smoke-filled facility, her heart pounding as alarms blared. "It's over, Eleanor!" Sophia shouted, cornering her near a control panel. Eleanor turned, her expression calm despite the chaos. "You can stop me, detective. But the fire has already spread." Sophia tackled her to the ground, handcuffing her as firefighters extinguished the blaze. Back at the precinct, Eleanor refused to cooperate, but Gregory's notes and the evidence from the warehouse were enough to link them both to the fires. "The Phantom's reign is over," Laura said, relief evident in her voice. But Sophia wasn't convinced. Something about Eleanor's calm demeanor unnerved her. "She's hiding something," Sophia said. "There's more to this than we realize." Sophia's instincts were proven correct, and Claire discovered a hidden message in Gregory's notebook: "The final fire will cleanse the heart of the city." Sophia's blood ran cold. They've planned one last attack. Something bigger than anything we've seen. The team scrambled to decipher the cryptic message, knowing that the clock was ticking and the Phantom's ultimate plan was still in motion. Detective Sophia Garrett paced the precinct's war room, Gregory Lyle's notebook open on the table. The phrase, "The final fire will cleanse the heart of the city," was etched in bold letters, but its meaning remained elusive. The heart of the city, Liam Carter mused. It could mean anything: a landmark, a central hub. Times Square. Central Park. Sophia shook her head. "No, it's deeper than that. Eleanor and Gregory aren't just trying to destroy, they're making a statement. They want maximum impact, something symbolic." Claire Wong joined them, a laptop tucked under her arm. "I cross-referenced Gregory's notes with recent reports of stolen chemicals. There's a match: several barrels of industrial accelerants taken from a warehouse in Manhattan last month. Where would they use that much accelerant?" Sophia asked, her mind racing. Claire hesitated, then pointed to a location on the map: Grand Central Terminal. The revelation sent a chill through the room. Grand Central Terminal wasn't just a transportation hub, it was an icon, a symbol of New York's resilience and history. "If they take out Grand Central, it's more than just the building," Laura Chen said. "It'll cripple the city's infrastructure, not to mention the loss of life during rush hour." Sophia nodded grimly. "We're not letting that happen. Claire, notify Homeland Security. Laura, get a tactical team ready. We're moving now." The task force arrived at Grand Central Terminal just as the early morning commuters began to pour in. Undercover officers blended into the crowd, their eyes scanning for any suspicious activity. Sophia and Liam coordinated from a makeshift command center set up in a nearby parking garage. "Security cameras show nothing unusual so far," Claire reported. "If they're here, they're staying hidden." Sophia's gut told her they were running out of time. "Keep looking. They wouldn't risk this unless they were sure they could pull it off." At 8:42 a.m., a commuter reported seeing two individuals carrying large duffel bags into a restricted area near the terminal's main power room. "That's them," Sophia said, grabbing her gear. "Let's move." The tactical team swept through the terminal, clearing the crowded concourse as they converged on the power room. Inside, they found Gregory Lyle, frantically assembling a network of explosives wired to the stolen accelerants. "Freeze!" Liam shouted, his gun trained on Gregory. Gregory raised his hands, a smug grin on his face. "You're too late. The team worked quickly to disarm the explosives, but Gregory's words haunted Sophia. "Where's Eleanor?" she demanded. Gregory's grin widened. "She's already gone. The final fire starts now." Sophia's heart sank as Claire's voice crackled over the radio. "Sophia, we've got reports of a secondary device at the New York Public Library." Sophia and a second team raced to the library, its iconic stone lion standing guard as the first plumes of smoke rose from the upper floors. "They're trying to destroy everything," Sophia said, her voice tight. Firefighters battled the growing blaze as Sophia's team searched the building for Eleanor. They found her in the rare books room, standing amid shelves of priceless manuscripts with a lighter in her hand. "You won't stop this," Eleanor said, her voice calm. "Fire purifies. Fire renews." Sophia raised her weapon. "Drop it, Eleanor. It's over." Eleanor smiled faintly, then dropped the lighter, but not before igniting a trail of accelerant leading to the shelves. The fire spread quickly, engulfing the room in flames as the team scrambled to contain it. Sophia tackled Eleanor to the ground, cuffing her as Liam doused the flames with a fire extinguisher. "Get her out of here!" Sophia shouted as the ceiling above them began to groan under the heat. Eleanor was dragged from the building, her serene expression unshaken. "You saved the books," she said. "But you can't stop the fire." Back at the precinct, Eleanor refused to talk, but Gregory's arrest had provided the task force with enough evidence to dismantle their network. They had backup plans, Claire said, pulling up encrypted files recovered from Gregory's laptop. "Multiple targets, all designed to spread chaos." "But we stopped them," Laura said. "We've got Eleanor, Gregory, and their entire operation in shambles." Sophia wasn't so sure. Eleanor's not the type to give up. She's playing the long game. As the task force combed through the evidence, Sophia uncovered a chilling revelation: Eleanor had been mentoring others, passing on her methods and ideology to a new generation of arsonists. "They were never planning to stop," Sophia said. "This was just the beginning." Despite the lingering threat, the task force's work brought a measure of peace to New York City. The fires stopped, and the city began to rebuild, its scars a testament to its resilience. Sophia stood outside Grand Central Terminal one evening, watching as commuters moved through its restored halls. "We stopped them," Liam said, joining her. "For now," Sophia replied. "But we'll be ready for whatever comes next." The days following Eleanor Shaw's capture were bittersweet for Detective Sophia Garrett and her team. The immediate threat of the Phantom's fires had been neutralized, but the cost was heavy: lives lost, historic buildings reduced to ash, and the city left grappling with its wounds. "We've put a stop to the fires," Sophia said during a task force meeting. "But this isn't over. Eleanor and Gregory built something bigger than themselves, and we need to make sure no one picks up where they left off." Liam Carter leaned forward, exhaustion etched into his face. "Eleanor's not talking, and Gregory's playing games. If there are others out there, we're shooting in the dark." Sophia's jaw tightened. "Then we need to turn on the lights." Claire Wong's analysis of Eleanor's files revealed a network of connections, encrypted emails, coded communications, and payments funneled to unidentified individuals across the country. "She wasn't just teaching Gregory," Claire said, pointing to a list of names. "She was recruiting. These are people who attended her lectures, bought her books, or donated to her so-called research." Sophia studied the list. "These aren't just followers, they're believers. She's created a movement." One name stood out: Lila Park, a graduate student who had recently gone off the grid. Sophia and Laura Chen visited Lila's last known address at a university in Manhattan. Her dorm room was eerily empty, the walls stripped bare and her belongings packed away. "She left in a hurry," Laura said, checking the room's closet. A stack of papers on the desk caught Sophia's attention. They included sketches of flames consuming urban landscapes and notes on accelerants. She was planning something, Sophia said. But where did she go? The team tracked Lila to an abandoned industrial park in Queens, where they found her in a makeshift workshop filled with chemicals and blueprints. Lila didn't resist when they arrested her, but her demeanor was unnerving. "You don't understand," she said as they led her to the precinct. "Eleanor's vision isn't just about fire. It's about rebirth. You can't stop it." Sophia tried to press her for more information, but Lila only smiled cryptically. "The fire isn't mine to start. It's already burning." Interrogating Lila revealed little, but her workshop provided a crucial lead: references to a catalyst meeting, a gathering of Eleanor's recruits meant to reignite the movement. "Their goal is to spread this ideology," Claire explained. "It's not just about fires anymore, it's about creating chaos." Sophia's team scrambled to locate the meeting, piecing together clues from Lila's notes and Eleanor's files. The meeting was set to take place at a remote cabin in upstate New York. The task force, backed by federal agents, descended on the cabin at dawn. Inside, they found a group of Eleanor's followers gathered around a projector, watching a recorded message from the Phantom herself. In the video, Eleanor spoke with calm conviction. "Fire is the beginning and the end. It purifies, it renews. We are the flames that will shape the future." The raid resulted in multiple arrests, but some of the attendees managed to escape into the woods. "They're spreading like embers in the wind," Liam said as they surveyed the scene. Sophia made the difficult decision to confront Eleanor directly, hoping to extract information about her network. In the sterile confines of the prison interview room, Eleanor greeted Sophia with a serene smile. "Detective Garrett. To what do I owe the pleasure?" Sophia didn't mince words. "Your recruits are out there, planning more fires. Tell me how to stop them." Eleanor's expression didn't falter. "Why would I stop them? The fire is inevitable. You're only delaying the future." Sophia leaned forward, her voice low. "You've lost, Eleanor. You're locked up, and your movement is crumbling. Help me, or you'll be forgotten." For the first time, Eleanor's mask cracked. "Forgotten?" she repeated, her eyes narrowing. Sophia seized the moment. "You can be remembered as a symbol of chaos, or as the one who ended it. Your choice." Eleanor provided just enough information to lead the task force to a storage unit in Jersey City. Inside, they found stockpiles of explosives and detailed plans for attacks on key infrastructure, bridges, tunnels, and subway stations. "This was their endgame," Laura said, holding up a blueprint of the Lincoln Tunnel. Sophia felt a knot form in her stomach. If they'd pulled this off, it would have brought the city to its knees. Despite the raid's success, Eleanor's influence remained a lingering threat. She continued to send cryptic messages to her followers from prison, using coded language to keep them motivated. "We need to shut her down completely," Claire said. "Cut off all communication." Sophia agreed. "We'll monitor her every move. She doesn't get another chance to spark anything." With Eleanor's network dismantled and her key followers in custody, New York City began the long process of recovery. Sophia visited the charred remains of the Lawrence textile factory, now surrounded by scaffolding and construction crews. "They're rebuilding," Liam said, joining her. Sophia nodded. "The city always does." But as she stared at the rising structure, she couldn't shake the feeling that the fire was never truly extinguished. "Let's make sure it stays that way," she said, walking away. The arrests of Eleanor Shaw and her recruits had brought a fragile peace to New York City, but Detective Sophia Garrett couldn't shake the feeling that the job wasn't done. Eleanor's message had resonated with too many people, her ideology sparking a movement that felt larger than the sum of its parts. "They're still out there," Sophia said during a briefing. "Eleanor's influence doesn't end with her imprisonment. Her followers will keep trying." Claire Wong nodded, pulling up a list of names. "We've identified several potential recruits based on Eleanor's communications. Most are low-level sympathizers, but a few stand out. Sophia's eyes landed on one name, Victor Rains, a chemical engineer with a history of arson-related arrests. He's more than a sympathizer, Sophia said. He's a fire starter. Tracking Victor Rains led the task force to a sprawling warehouse in Staten Island, where he'd been spotted purchasing industrial chemicals. A covert surveillance operation revealed that Rains was experimenting with accelerants, creating devices designed to cause maximum destruction. He's preparing for something big, Liam Carter said, watching from their surveillance van. Sophia's instincts told her Rains wasn't working alone. If Eleanor trusted him, he's part of something larger. Let's find out who he's working with. A midnight raid on the warehouse uncovered a chilling scene: barrels of accelerants, detonators, and blueprints for major landmarks across the city. This is a terrorist playbook, Laura Chen said, flipping through the documents. Bridges, tunnels, high-traffic areas, they're targeting the lifelines of New York. But Rains was nowhere to be found. Then we find him, Sophia said, her voice cold. Claire decrypted a series of emails from Rains' laptop, uncovering plans for a coordinated attack dubbed the Final Flame. The plan called for multiple fires to erupt simultaneously, overwhelming the city's emergency response teams. There's a date attached, Claire said. 2 days from now. Sophia's pulse quickened. Do we know the targets? Not all of them, Claire replied. But one stands out, the Queensboro Bridge. The task force split into teams, each tasked with securing a potential target. Sophia led the operation at the Queensboro Bridge, coordinating with bomb squads and firefighters to search for devices. As the hours ticked by, tension mounted. Commuters were evacuated, and the bridge was shut down, causing gridlock across the city. We're running out of time, Liam said, his voice tense. Sophia scanned the bridge's understructure, her flashlight catching a glint of metal. Found something, she said, her heart pounding. The bomb was sophisticated, a web of wires and triggers designed to detonate at the slightest mistake. As the bomb squad worked to disarm it, Sophia caught movement out of the corner of her eye, Victor Rains, watching from a maintenance platform. Sophia and Liam climbed after him, their weapons drawn. End of the line, Victor. Sophia shouted. Victor turned, a smug grin on his face. You can stop this bomb, but you'll never stop the fire. We stopped Eleanor, Liam said. We'll stop you too. Victor lunged, and a struggle ensued, the three of them grappling dangerously close to the edge of the platform. Victor slipped, catching himself on a beam as Sophia grabbed his arm. Don't do this, she shouted. Victor's grin faded, replaced by a flicker of fear. You don't understand, he said. Eleanor was right. The city needs to burn to be reborn. Sophia tightened her grip. We're not letting that happen. With Liam's help, she hauled Victor to safety, handcuffing him as the bomb squad successfully disarmed the device. Victor's capture led to a wave of arrests across the city as his co-conspirators were rounded up. The task force worked tirelessly, dismantling the last remnants of Eleanor's network and ensuring no more fires would ignite. This is it, Laura said as they reviewed the final list of arrests. We've got them all. Sophia exhaled deeply, the weight of the case finally lifting. Then let's make sure it stays that way. Sophia visited Eleanor Shaw in prison one last time. The former professor sat behind the glass, her once calm demeanor replaced by a quiet resignation. You've lost, Sophia said. Your movement is over. Eleanor tilted her head, a faint smile on her lips. Lost? Detective, the seeds are already planted. Fire spreads on its own. You'll see. Sophia leaned closer. If it does, I'll be there to put it out. Months later, New York City began to heal. The landmarks targeted by the arsonists were repaired, and the city's residents returned to their routines. Sophia stood on the restored Queensboro Bridge, watching the sunset reflect off the water below. Liam joined her, his expression lighter than it had been in months. "We did it," he said. Sophia nodded. "We stopped the fire this time. And next time, we'll stop it again." As the city buzzed with life below, Sophia allowed herself a small moment of peace. For now, the flames had been extinguished, and the city stood strong.